Over the years, marketers have been analyzing the different generations, baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and recently we have seen there's a red thread among all of them: speed. They all want everything to happen now. My name is Francisco Serrano, and I am the Chief Speed Officer at One to One and the host of the Now Gen podcast. Join me. Each episode, we talk about what's happening with brands, see how brand professionals across different industries cope with this fast-changing market, and live up to the expectation of this now generation. Welcome.
This episode is brought to you by One to One, the fastest day-to-day design and content studio. For more than 17 years, One to One has been their premier partner for many Fortune 500 companies, proving that tight deadlines shouldn't be a hassle.
Welcome back to the new episode of the Now Gen podcast. And today we have a very interesting guest, Morgan Jennings. Morgan is the current digital marketing manager strategist at Audi of America. Very happy to have her here. Hey, Morgan, how are you? You're a very, very keen and special guest because of your experience in luxury brand industry. So welcome back. Welcome, Morgan.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you. And we were talking a little bit about the technology before we were jumping in this interview, and it's changing by the hour and by the minute, right? So you have to cope because then you're in Zoom and then it's Google Meet or it's Microsoft, and it's just several different things. So Morgan, my first question, I see that you studied fine arts, focusing on fashion business, right? Mm-hmm. And now you have experience with some luxury fashion brands also. Tell me, how did you go from that into working to the automotive industry?
Yeah. So I went to a liberal arts college here in the state of Georgia called Savannah College of Art and Design. It inspired me in high school when I went on a trip to Savannah, and I saw how beautiful the campuses were and how much effort and time the college had really put into restoring Savannah. And then I walked into the campus when I went on a tour when I was still in high school. It was just breathtaking. And so I'd always been into fashion. I've always loved fashion. I get that from my grandma on my mom's side. Just, as a little girl, always playing dress up, wearing my mom's heels. So I always thought, I want to go into fashion. And, I was a diehard J. Crew lover when I was in high school. And so I knew I wanted to, maybe stay in that realm. So I started working at J. Crew when I graduated high school and went into college, and really lean towards fashion. And, I have a marketing background as far as my family. My dad was in marketing, and so was my grandfather. And so it really runs in my family. So I knew I wanted to do fashion and marketing. But, as I got older and I matured and I really, figured out who I was and what I wanted, I realized that I wanted to go more into cars. And ended up, I ended up realizing now in my later 20s, it was meant to always be that way. Cars run in my family. My grandfather worked as a consultant to GM and Chrysler back in the 70s. And my dad, restores cars and loves cars. So it really runs in my family as well. So it just made sense for me to, push more into the automotive sector. So when I was getting my master's at SCAD, I actually picked automotive as my thesis topic. And really just, that was where my passion was. So I decided, I set a goal, and I talked to a really dear mentor and professor of mine and said, hey, I want to work at Porsche. Porsche was, local to Atlanta. And so that's what I put my eyes on, and that's what drove me. And, he said, I know you're in fashion marketing, but I think there's a lot of ways that it correlates, and I think you can do it. And that's what, I took my thesis and said, hey, even though I really looked at studying in fashion marketing, there's a way to take what I learned and take my business acumen and really transition it into the luxury automotive sector. And I've been blessed, and that's what I've done so far.
Yeah, I imagine what you're saying is that, luxury it's kind of the common theme among the two things. How are they connected? Tell me a little bit more about that. How does luxury and fashion and luxury in the auto industry, how does that connect?
Yeah, so when you look through the history of cars and fashion, they're very, very closely intertwined. We've been creating fashion for cars since the beginning. When we first had the cars, they had no um, covers, so we were creating certain coats and goggles and hats to wear for the cars that these people were buying. And of course, back in this time, these people were more on the luxury sector because they had the money to afford these cars, right? So as you go on, you start to see fashion houses collaborate with car industries. You saw Gucci and Fiat. You've seen Hermes and Bugatti. You've seen all these cool collaborations. And so fashion and cars intertwine. Louis Vuitton and BMW did a collaboration a few years ago. So when you look at it and you look at the interior of cars and you look at the fashion, they're all very similar, down from the stitching, like at a Rolls Royce. When you look at how intricate the inside is, from the starlights up at the top to, the beautiful pastel painting they'll put on your seat, if that's what you want.
Yes,
That's so close to couture and
incredible.
ready to wear in fashion. So they're very similar and intertwined. And people don't realize it, but it's there. It's for sure there.
Yeah, and it's getting a little bit more into the, so before I've seen it that the the you could have a car and personalized to your
Mhm.
liking, but it was more the Rolls Royce type of thing. But now it's getting a more realistic way. Before it was just a $300,000 car, but now with
Mhm.
Tesla, you can personalize a lot of things with the software
Yeah.
and yeah. So it's interesting. And how does, I mean, you've been almost 2 years with Audi and
Mhm.
you've been before COVID and post COVID. What
Mhm.
happened? Did that change things inside your company and your the way that you will operate in the digital realm?
For sure. So, really, what we focus on in my role is we have different areas. So, for me specifically, I have 22 dealerships in the Southeast, and I'm based out of Atlanta. And so, primarily for us, we travel to all of our dealerships pre-COVID. And so, um, ironic enough, I was hired in the midst of COVID and started virtually and have only known this job to be virtual until a few weeks ago. So, yeah, it's been crazy. And they grounded Audi, which we fall under Volkswagen Group, grounded us all. And so um, it wasn't until about 2-3 weeks ago that we've been tiptoeing back into the field and slowly starting to see dealerships. But for the impacts, I mean, it's through and through. It's not just, we're not just feeling it. It's every OEM is feeling it, from inventory shortages to part shortages to technician shortages. I mean, we've truly felt the hit of it, and we're blessed to be doing so well, but it's definitely, COVID's been an interesting time for sure.
It's not only internally that you have problems, getting the parts, getting the cards made
Mhm.
and everything, but also communicating with the customer, right? And
Yes.
making, don't get angry, your car's coming type of
Yes.
thing.
So it's really about making those clients and those customers still feel special while they're waiting for their cars to get there. So we have people who have ordered the new e-tron GT, and we're just now starting to get those shipments in. And, they're not all coming in at once. Dealers are getting 1 to 2 cars at a time, and even the cars are not necessarily sellable. They're marketing cars. So for us, it's really about making sure that the dealership is making those customers truly feel special, and making them, understand that we appreciate you and we're going to do what we need to do to make you happy while you wait for your car. And that's everything from, putting together an experiential event where you get them together with other clients who are waiting for cars and get them in their current Audis and do drives to a winery where everything's paid for the weekend. I mean, it's about putting together and dipping into those budgets that you have to really make those top tier clients feel special and help them understand that, hey, we understand the bind we're all in, but thank you for working with us. But at the same time, we're seeing that we have some room, because we may not have a bunch of inventory, but we also have customers, the younger generation, that's willing to work with us because they need a car right now. They may be able to afford an Audi, but they're not our older customer where they have 2 or 3 cars and they can wait on that GT or wait on that Q8. And our younger generation needs the cars now, so we can serve them now. And our older generation, we can definitely cater to their needs and say, hey, thank you for being a client. We really appreciate it. So I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and I want to focus. We were talking in the pre-interview about the now gen, right? And you mentioned the word now like 4 times. Just as the younger generations, they want now,
Yes.
now, and also we have seen that the baby boomers also, they want things now because I mean they're a little bit more lenient, but in the end they want now. So.
Yeah.
How does that world in the e-com world? So
Mhm.
tell us. So the now gen listeners, the now gen podcast listeners, they were thinking, okay, so how in the hell am I going to buy a car online? Does that happen? Is it
So
or no, or how does it work?
so now that we're in the age of where Carvana came onto the platform and really shook things up for the dealerships, right? And so people are now more educated on the fact that they can purchase online, but they're not necessarily educated on the fact that, hey, you can do this through your local dealership. And so we have to, on top of get everybody to understand that, hey, we can now serve you in this way, we also have to break down the barrier of the dealership myths, right? People think that dealerships are just, awful places to go. They don't want to be haggled. But in reality, we're trying to create a better process that's catered to you, where we let you do your thing and we leave you alone, or we're there if you need us. And so we have now the option to where dealers can fully buy their car online. And we say fully, nobody can fully buy a car online. You're always going to have to sign paperwork no matter where you buy it from. But as far as the digital process goes, we're fully integrated for the most part. But what we've noticed is that the younger generation, the millennials and the generation under us, is that they will go online and fill out a form, whether it be a contact form or they'll start, the digital retailing form fills. They'll start it, but then if we don't get back to them, if they email us with a question, if we don't get back to them in 5-10 minutes, they're walking into that dealership and they're saying, hey, I need to look at this right now. So even though we're fully digital, we have those digital features, we see the older customer using it and coming in and saying, hey, I filled out all the forms online. I'm here to do the test drive. Where we're seeing the younger generation come in and say, I emailed you guys, you didn't get back to me quick enough. So I'm here. I want to look at the car. So it's definitely making the dealership have to adapt and, come up with processes where, sales people and sales internet people are both getting credit. And so, yeah, it's definitely an interesting time. And it's interesting to see, how people are reacting to the online buying process.
I'm just fascinating, specifically in your industry with what your challenge that you have right now, because the brick and mortar approach in the retailers, for example, fashion industry, they're kind of using e-com as a leverage of not letting all the sales go and then just selling more, but they still have the real estate and they still want the client to come in. So they're creating and innovating different ways of having that experience of, hey, is it worth to come and look at us here at the so how are you doing, how are you luring them in having that balance between hustle free digital, no, this is a prize, that's it, you don't have to like, hey, tell me your best price, tell me your best offer, come on, this is it, but go and live the experience, test the drive the car. So I think that challenge, it's wonderful and interesting for you. Do you have are you working on that actually every day to make sure that balance is uh, it's meeting the customer's expectations?
Yeah. So I think it it definitely starts more at the higher level, right? So it starts all the way at corporate in Germany. It starts from them in the way that they design our dealerships, which they do a beautiful job. Our dealerships are fully integrated with the latest technology and setup, and they also have coffee bars for clients to come in and have a full meal and get grits and have tea, and while they're waiting for their car to be serviced. And so for us, it's about making the dealership modern and in tuned with technology, but still making it a comfy and cozy place for people to come in. And if they want to talk to those salespeople, or if they want to talk to the general manager, if they want to talk, to the service people, they still can do that and feel comfortable. Because, I know for me, I personally like to shop in person for, especially for clothes and food and cars. I still am very much that person that goes into the store. Yes, I order stuff from Amazon. Yes, I order stuff, online, but for a car, like there's still, people want to go in and they can't wrap their head around, like, oh, I can fill out everything online and then go test drive. Like that's it's a little much for some people, but it's now become, hey, come in, come see us. We still have those relationships. We still want to build that for you. We still want to take you around the lot and show you the different cars and the different colors. Go home, take your time, think about it, and then you can start filling out stuff online, and then you can come back and see us. So there's that flexibility to where, we can have the customer fill out stuff at home. We don't necessarily have to be there for them in their customer journey. So, yeah, I think that making the brick and mortar a comfortable place and a main focal point will always be something that we're going to have to focus on no matter what.
Yeah, and uh, when you talk about, you talk about trends of some people not going, some people going. So how, as a luxury brand, especially, how do you stay up to date, and how do you keep up with all the changes? Do you have like a place to go, websites to visit,
Yeah.
special education to get? How do you get that?
Yeah. So, um, with the way that we're currently set up, we have a special relationship with dealer.com, who is our website provider. And they are always bringing us the latest updates and really doing stuff customized to Audi and the Audi customer. On top of that, just for me personally, it's really about staying up to date on the latest, automotive news and what's going on as far as the social media landscape. Like we just had that big privacy update with Apple, and people don't realize how that impacts the car industry, and that, we have to figure out how to target people who no longer want to be targeted. And so, um, it's really overcoming all of that. I mean, it's changing day by day constantly, right? You have constant algorithm updates and all of this. And I think so it's very, very important for these dealerships, no matter what OEM, no matter even if you're luxury versus non-luxury. It's about creating a true organic following so that you can, build rapport with your community, so you can show people that we're more than just this brand. We're here to service you and be a part of your life and be a part of your journey. And I think that in today's world, it's no longer about just being a brand. It's about being a lifestyle brand and showing people how you fit into their world. Um, so, yeah.
It's good. It's good. Going into the time machine a little bit here and look back at your career, professional career. Tell me, what is that moment that you felt proud of Morgan to say, "Hey, you kill it right there," with the, in any of the companies you've been in a situation, just so we can understand something that has been challenging for you.
Yeah. So so full transparency, when I was like, it starts when I was a little girl. I think when I was in the first grade, I was told, my parents were told that I was never going to learn how to read. I was a non-reader. And it turned out that I had an eye problem. And so it was basically where my one eye would read one line and my other eye would read another line. But in the early 2000s, that was not well diagnosed. And it turned out it ran in my family. My grandmother had it, my dad had it, but it was just never diagnosed. And so I was finally, when I was in the third grade, figured out what was wrong with me, and I was always told, oh, you're not that bright, even though my IQ tested really highly. I was super creative, but I just couldn't read. So I'd fail every subject in school. Right. So then I figured out what was wrong with me, got therapy. And, I always struggled in school, no matter what, at the end of the day. I also had dyslexia. Then I went to SCAD and then realized, I'm definitely a creative. They refer to us as creatives. And so getting through school at SCAD and graduating, with magna cum laude, top of my class,
Wow.
being part of, a fashion marketing club and being really involved in my school, where the professors were coming to me and asking me to be involved in scholarships and do all this stuff. And that was the first moment where I was like, okay, I'm capable of setting my mind to something and doing it. And then once I graduated and said, I want to go into automotive, that was another thing. It's like, how do you do that? You've been in fashion. I worked at Louis Vuitton in college. It's like, how do you get into automotive now? Right. So it started with internship after internship. And my dad and I were diehard BMW fans. And I told myself, I'm going to work at BMW one day. That's where I want to be. Like, if it's not for long, I have to work there at some point. Well, I applied for a Southern marketing internship at BMW of Atlanta, and I got called to interview for that, but also a Rolls-Royce position. And I was like, because they're the sister company, I was like, okay, well, sign me up. And so I wasn't ready and I wasn't prepared to move to New Jersey and pick my whole life up and go up there at 23 or 24 years old, but I did it. And it was the best experience of my life. My boss truly gave me the opportunity to work in every aspect for a luxury company. And it was the opportunity of a lifetime. And after that conclusion happened at Rolls-Royce, I transitioned into a position at BMW in the same building. And I was like, I did it. I made it. I set this goal out to be at BMW and I did it. I'm here. And I was just, it was hard. It was a bumpy road. It was a lot of work, a lot of sleepless nights working on my master's while working at Rolls-Royce, but I did it. And I think that was that. Yeah, that was that moment where I was like, okay. And, I definitely had a huge support system. And, from my home life to my work life, I definitely had people rooting for me. And that's definitely helped and played a huge role into it. But I think that when I was there, that was that moment where I was like, okay, I can do it. So.
It seems that you've been a warrior all your life from day one, and now BMW, your dream car or company or brand, and now you're just overcoming all these challenges. And so, well, I think that's the spirit to survive, right? I
Yeah.
mean, to survive and grow, and you've shown it. So congrats on that. And I want to pick on that and
Yeah.
ask you, because we're coming to a close of the interview, and as a takeaway for all the listeners,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say to everybody that is listening that Morgan can tell them so they can take it and use it in their professional careers?
Yeah. I think that a lot of times people get deterred or unmotivated when they have, maybe negative people around them, or, not the best situation at home, or, things just aren't going the way that they thought it would because, they had a timeline in their head or something. And the one thing I have to say is take a deep breath, look at yourself in the mirror and say that you can do it. I think that for me personally, I'm somebody who gets really stressed out very easily. And, you can't be afraid of hard work either, and so it's really about just being in the moment, being present, and being your biggest supporter. And I think as long as you can support yourself and you're willing to put in the time and the effort and the hard work, you can achieve anything you set your mind to. And you can definitely, get through it. I mean, look, you're always going to have people standing in your way. You're always going to have things come up. You're always going to have, something going on. It's about how you handle those situations, whether you handle it with grace or with chaos. And I think that sometimes you need a little bit of both, but, it's always about taking, I think, a deep breath and just saying you can do it and you'll get through it and you can achieve it.
Exactly. I completely agree with you, and I can attest to the audience that you initially today you had problems with communication, and you didn't drop the ball, and you get another computer, and now we're having this conversation. So, and it
Yes,
was
yes.
about 3 minutes. So, yeah, I can attest what you're saying. So it works, folks. It works. Okay, so yeah, thank you very much for that, for sharing that. And question for you. I'm
Yes.
intrigued how a luxury specialist
Mhm.
picks the groceries at a supermarket. Tell me, tell me the top three brands that come into your mind. So, three brands. Don't be
Okay.
shy. Just boom, boom, boom.
Okay. So I love to cook. I'm a big cooker. I think the top three brands, oh my God, I can't think. I just think of like vegetables and stuff like that. I love Silk almond creamer.
Okay.
I definitely am a person, I cannot drink my coffee black. I tried that in college. I can't do it anymore. And then I think, oh gosh. Okay, so there's this truffle pasta that I absolutely love. You can't
Okay.
necessarily find this in every grocery store, but if you live in New York City, you can go to Italy and you can find it there.
Okay.
I get it at my local store down in Sarasota. A Bite is what it's called, the Bite of Tuscany. She's great. That's where I get this
What's it?
pasta. But it's truffle pasta. So if you ever see truffle pasta, I definitely say get it. It's my favorite thing out there. And then,
Okay.
oh God. Okay, so this isn't out there anymore, but the last thing is Trix yogurt because that was my favorite thing as a kid, and I so look for it on the shelves all the time, and I can never find it. And here in Georgia, we have beautiful sunsets, and they always look like Trix yogurt to me. So I want Trix yogurt, and I can't find it, and it's just like this never-ending battle. And so yeah, Trix yogurt.
Tricks, the bunny rabbit
Yes, the
tricks.
bunny
Okay.
rabbit with like cotton candy
Yes. Whoa.
flavors and stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff, and I think because I love color,
Oh.
I love color. So it's just it's awful for you, but definitely one of my
Yeah, but I
favorites.
mean, yeah, that's good. That's good. Excellent. You don't have to like or be passionate about brands only if they're good for you. I mean, we all
Yeah.
have to have a balance, right?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that,
Yeah.
Morgan. Well, we've been talking to Morgan Jennings, out as digital marketing strategist. If someone from the audience is interested in contacting you, how can they do so? Do you have like a preferable way so they can get in touch?
Yeah. They can find me on LinkedIn. Um, just Morgan A. Jennings on, you can throw it up in there. Also, my favorite thing on social media is Instagram. I'm on there, but LinkedIn's probably the best way if it's a more of a professional thing. If you
Okay.
want to ask me, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Excellent. Anything else you want to add?
Um, oh gosh, no, I think that's pretty much it. I definitely enjoyed doing this podcast, though. So yeah, thank you for having me.
No, it was exciting to learn a lot about the luxury industry and especially how cars are dealing with it and the brand Audi, which is
Yeah,
right there at the top. So thank you for sharing that. And like I said at the beginning, is it's your experience and people just like to listen to this and see they can take away what you just gave us and use it in their professional careers and we learn as we grow, right? So
yeah,
it's not perfection, it's just trying until you get there,
yeah,
right?
definitely.
So thank you for that. If you want to learn more about the most relevant power brands for the now gen, stay tuned for the next episode. And thank you so much, Morgan Jennings, Audi's digital marketing strategist.
Thank you.